on blast, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. I tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. Please, Lord, forgive them. They try to hold back and chillin' like they ain't know it was written. Break every chain. Wanna free my people from mental prisons. With your eyes on the sparrow, I know we'll narrow divisions. Hope is the vote to keep us afloat just as you envision. Faith to erase the pain from all of our people slain. Destined for change, actions to back up your spoken name. When they throw dirt on us, we use it to play the game. When it rains, we go greater together, no matter the weather. Trust these dark days, gonna get better. Know that love will be the light to guide all our endeavors. And even if the tide should rise, we'll ride it forever. Why? We are mighty, we'll fight for our lives, cause we're dying to live. Future is ours, the timing is now. Black and we proud, we're saying it loud. We gave it a roar, there's so much more to give. We're breaking down on the wall. These times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. Never backing down for the cause. Try to put our life on pause, cause we move in the image of God. No matter the hate that's spoken, our spirits remain unbroken. The divine man says you can't count us out. We are the answer. From the youth to the elders, ain't what you can tell us. Style and brilliance of mind, heart as bright as sunshine. Warrior spirits alive, so no, we won't be denied. So vibration is high, and the frequency's so angelic, like. People, come on. Rise up. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. Rise up. Oh, rise up. Come on, family.
Yeah, family, you already know what it is on a Monday night. It is Soundbytes International Radio, Black Consciousness to Claim.
World is the aim.
Absolutely. Bringing the conversations pertinent to our diasporic landscape to help heal and empower and uplift our people across the diaspora with every broadcast. So I'm Hasir Khan Nefarah, and this is
Nefarah too, my auntie Rob.
Yes, you already know who we are. So if you're tuning in, you know what the deal is, right? So we appreciate y'all. First things first, of course, you know, we gotta do the necessary housekeeping to make sure y'all on task. Well, we picking up what we putting down. So if you're watching us right now, we're all live on our streaming on our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Twitter via Periscope. So of course, if you're on our Facebook, if you just happen to be on our Facebook right now and you haven't as of yet, please click the like button, and also the follow button. Like us and follow us on Facebook at Soundbytes INTL Radio. And also make sure you do, as I said, we're on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Soundbytes INTL to view this broadcast via Periscope live right now. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Soundbytes International Radio. You can subscribe there. Please get on there. Please get your friends to get on there and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get those numbers up, because the more visibility, more subscribers, the more engagement, the more, you know, all those things. It makes things happen. People make things happen, or people don't make things happen, as Nefarah says. So let's make things happen, family. You know, the conversation moves when we move. So please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, Soundbytes International Radio, on our YouTube channel. And tell your friends to do the same thing. Share that information out if you find value in what we bring. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Soundbytes International Radio to get actual sound bites of these conversations daily and regularly as possible. So make sure you follow us on the IG, Soundbytes International Radio. Absolutely. And of course, Oh, the ticker isn't there. Boom, ticker. So as you see scrolling across the screen now, make sure you visit our website, thisissoundbytes.com. We can get access to our merch. So I get some exclusive Soundbytes merch there, which does provide support and sustainability to our operation. Here's independently owned, Black-owned operation, African-owned operation that is Soundbytes, and also get yourself something, in return, right? So, but also not only that, you do have an opportunity to contribute as well. Any energy yields, we do appreciate any and all energy yields and contributions through the contribute button that's on our website, as well as through our Cash App at $Soundbytes Radio. So you can give in those ways as well. And trust and believe, if you find value in what we bring, your energy is greatly appreciated in reciprocity. It helps keeping good things going, right? Because again, as we always say, like, this is not us talking at you, just saying things and then checking out. This is us being with you each week at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Monday to chat with you, to talk with you, share our thoughts, share our musings, our experiences, and what matters to us in helping break the cycles of what the indoctrination and white supremacy and all things, the systemic oppression, all those things in between that have done to us and indoctrinated us into this way that has us being operating a lower vibration and a lesser standard that we are capable of. So that is why we're here to have these conversations.
We're also here to empower you to be different around, because people make things happen and people don't make things happen.
Right.
So while we're going through all of these spaces, I'm your Minister of Learning and Development. See, the goal here is to have you learn new behaviors, unlearn the old ones, implement some action, and get some results.
Out, put some new stuff in.
Boom. So that we can come together as a collective and work together for the Africans' greatest good and the Earth's greatest good as a whole. So that's the ultimate. It's a whole powerful, positive spin on there. I don't do toxic positivity, but that's our purpose, and that is our intention. We pour in, you pour out.
Absolutely.
We pour in, you pour out. That is an exchange. I shave my eye in reciprocity. Give thanks.
And all that. You heard her. So yes, family. So as it's been a wild year. 2020 has been a wild, 10 years. So we've gone through a lot of ups and downs throughout this year. There's been loss, there's been triumphs, there's been this awakening, there's been shedding of some veils. Some veils have been lifted around this system for a lot more people. Now, no one's stuck in their bubbles anymore, even though they may choose to clamber back in as much as possible. But a lot of things have been shed. 2020 clear, a clear vision, right? We sure enough got a clear vision of a lot of things in our life. I hope is my hope, with the intention that we could take that into 2021 and beyond, to clear our space, to clear our heads, to clear our minds, our bodies, and souls, and create something better than what we've had beforehand, right? And as we continue on into this new decade, and we're about 11, 12 days left into the year, as we look at 2021. So of course, this week, we're a Monday show, right? So we wouldn't be able to get into the direct connection of the day as we wanted to, but we want to keep continuity. But Kwanzaa is this Saturday. December 26th, of course, is the start of Kwanzaa, the 7-day celebration of our African spirituality and identity, and aligning with one another within the principles of Kwanzaa and the principles of what it means to stand in the family and build the nation, one principle at a time. So we will look into Kwanzaa, on this episode. For those that aren't aware, for those that are aware, please sing along. We're not singing, but please, God, walk along with us in this journey. Let's share your thoughts around Kwanzaa. Share your thoughts around each principle, what it means to you. What does each principle mean to you? Share that in the comments. That's what we're gonna have y'all do. Share that in the comments throughout the show. What does each Kwanzaa principle mean to you? What's your favorite principle? What do you stand by within Kwanzaa? So we're gonna get into it. I don't know if you want to get into that first and then move on, or like we can roll into it.
We can roll into it. I mean, at the end of the day, we was trying to talk about our African powers. That was the intention that we was gonna do.
I mean, we can get in that first. It's all good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So just to set the tone, right? So again, it is Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa's coming up again. Is just the 26th. So we start to celebrate each day of Kwanzaa. So we're gonna bring up the Kwanzaa principles. If you know the Nguzo Saba, let me get this out of here. Bloop. If you along with us, we celebrate each day of Kwanzaa. And the first day, of course, is Umoja, which is unity. Umoja, which is unity, is the first day of Kwanzaa, which means to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, and nation and race. My bad, y'all. Can't really see too well. So that is the first day. Of course, we start off with unity. What does unity mean to us in the African community, especially on this soil? In a space of division that's taken place for so long. How do we get back to unity, right? So we can talk about that. Kuji Chakalia Day 2, December 27th. And that is self-determination. And what that means is to define ourselves, name ourselves, and speak for ourselves instead of being defined and spoken for by others. We get to choose our name. We get to choose our identity. We get to choose our being. We get to choose who we are in every instance of every day that we live. Period. Right? And day 3, when we enter day 3, that's December 28th, that is Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. Ujima, which is to build and maintain our community together and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. We are to stand with one another through all problems, through all strifes, and work ways to make solutions so that we don't have to go through them anymore, right? And that is Ujima. And the day 4 of the Nguzo Saba being the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Day 4 is Ujamaa. December 29th is Ujamaa, which is cooperative economics. And that is to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit together from them. Black economics, we talk about that a lot throughout the year. That's been a big booming thing. If anything, we look at a lot as of late is a Ujamaa. It's like, how do we work in getting more Black-owned businesses up and running? And how do we not only get them up and running, but how do we patronize them and have them be the spaces that we need to enter to ignite and entertain and be with as regular essential spaces to help our community thrive as a people, right? So let's look at that in Ujamaa. How are we engaging in Ujamaa daily? And on day 5, we have Nia, which is purpose. Day 5, Nia, which is purpose, to make as our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. How are we living in our purpose daily, right? How are we putting what we have, what skills, what talents have we grown to acquire in our lives to help build strength, but not only within ourselves, but using as tools to build strength for the community at large, right? How do we ignite our purpose within that? What does that mean? The next day, number 6, if we have is Kuumba, which is creativity. My favorite, because I'm creative out here in these streets. Creativity is to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited, right? So how can we be as creative as possible with what we have in our spaces, what resources we have in our hands to shape the world into a better space than we found it? Absolutely, Ashe. And of course, the last day, which we must always, we not only end with, but we begin with and continue with, is the faith, which is Imani. The 7th day of Kwanzaa, the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa is Imani, which is faith. And that is to believe with all our hearts in our parents, our teachers, our leaders, our people, and the righteousness and victory of our struggles. Ashe. With faith through everything that does happen, whether good or bad, what happened, whatever you want to call it in the space, we have faith and trust that with our people and with what we have available to us, that we will get through, that we will survive, we will thrive, and everything in between, and then some. Through faith we walk, and in our actions, in our creativity, using our purpose and working together in cooperative economics and standing within collective work of our people, self-determined and defined and unifying as a collective whole, we can get to where we need to be in terms of our Black, our African liberation. Ashe is where I would feel, for Kwanzaa being the first fruits. So this is where we bear our fruits and we grow and replenish ourselves in our community. So that is Nguzo Saba. For those that didn't know, for those that do know, you'll be follow along and share within that. Again, share your favorite principles or what the principles mean to you in your life. How are you walking every day? And all these principles, each of these principles, or your favorite principles. We love to hear that in the comments. Please share that in the comments with us, family. We love to hear it. Absolutely. So we wanted to set that energy off to start off the show. And then with that, as Neferah mentioned, we are stepping into what has been a high energy space. If your timeline hasn't been lit up by now around it, African people, then it should be. We've been talking about it. It's been sharing the space. Even I wasn't aware until last week or so. Like, what's going on? But we're entering, of course, December 21st. Today being the day, it was the first day of winter, is the winter solstice, right? So it is, of course, a new energy space within that. But also there's a few things moving in the energy space as well on this day. Peace and power to our people. Joseph, thank you for tuning in, brother. We appreciate you for tapping in. Thank you. Please share the broadcast. Please join the conversation. Absolutely. Definitely have to tap in for this convo about Kwanzaa and finishing the year even stronger than we began. Let's talk about it. Let's finish this year strong, brother. Absolutely. But yeah, so it's not only the winter solstice this day, but it's also we're looking at what is called the Great Conjunction, right? So for those that aren't aware what the Great Conjunction is, from our crash course, right, in our growth around it, the Great Conjunction is a time, an event within our history that takes place where the planets align, the planetary alignment, and particularly a planetary alignment that this involves is when Jupiter and Saturn. So now Jupiter and Saturn tend to align every 20 years or so, every 2 decades, they say. But particularly this Great Conjunction is particularly special and called so because it's the closest they've ever been in 800 years since the Middle Ages. So it's a very special time. And within that planetary alignment, the universal alignment, and that shift in the universal energy tends to come in ignition and heightened elevation in spirit and energy, especially with the melanated people. Right. So this has been said to be a week actually, over the next couple days as well, before the Christmas holiday, that melanated people get to be ignited into a space they haven't been before. They say superpowers. Get your superpowers in the Negro solstice. But that's what that's how we be doing the most. But it's a time to ignite our energy, ignite our power, ignite our strength, and really bask in what that divine energy gets to look like for us, right? Okay. How are we stepping into our healing space? How are we stepping into our melanated energy, to our African identity, our African energy? What does that get to look like, right? How do we define that, right? Is it a superpower? Are you going to fly? Are you going to, levitate? Are you going to teleport? Which is, my personal favorite. We're going to get a power. I want to teleport. Okay. Boom, boom in every area, right? But really, I would think imagine it's a moment of elevation for us to step into our energy in a way we haven't before. Really, it's a time, we've been talking about it, just to step into our energy in ways that we haven't before and create something different for ourselves, create something different for our lives, for our communities, and really gain some ground in this cultural shift that's taking place. So within that whole tap and peace and blessings, Sister Ra Lotus, yes, we appreciate you. Definitely, yes, Abshay. We want to look to step into that space. You want to talk about the video,
So I was I kind of rhymed around it with it. I wanted to just going through that whole article. So
I want to run my mouth.
Okay, Lord, we gonna so family, what's good with the superpowers? So I just want to let you know that according to the root, which is great because we're gonna talk about the roots. Dear prospective super Negroes, okay, and I could not really do this article justice with a summary, so I'm gonna read it to you, and I'm gonna be all animated and all that good stuff. But listen, so just for the FYI, in the perfect world that where I reign in the queendom and all that stuff, if you're not African, 365 degrees. You don't get to take part.
Don't be stepping up and like I'm black now.
We don't
I know black. I don't know black. No. So no.
No.
Because I've seen a little bit of the yes.
No.
No.
You're not here 365 days a week living in this Black experience.
No.
Okay, with intention and authenticity and truth, the universe will set you up. Well, how they gonna know? No, I'm here to tell you, karma. You don't escape it, and there's gonna be like little rays of light that's gonna be like zap, and all of the people. I'm gonna be central, right? That gets me my superpower. Where I get to just like, I get to because I have to be in my natural essence. So I'm not gonna be different from who I am because I like who I am. So I don't want to be super different from who I already am. So that definitely factors in 93% of all communication is nonverbal. So I can see you already. That's going to be even more clearer. And it's going to be like zap. So if you're not Black and African 365 degrees,
don't come around here.
Go on. You don't get no reparations check.
We
don't need no. Go on, get from around here. Get from around here, Grandma said. Okay, so dear prospective Super Negroes, by now you should have received your certified letter informing you that the people of African descent will receive superpowers on December 21st when Jupiter and Saturn align for the first time in nearly 400 years. According to researchers at the University of Twitter, this will unlock the melanated magic in Black people granted them never seen before gifts beyond the ability to clap on beat and resist dumping artichokes into potato salad.
Okay.
Oh God. Before this occurs, we want to prepare you for this glorious day, as well as spell out a few basic best practices for operating in our new systems update. To do this, the National Institute of Genetic Gifts and Astronomical Superpowers, niggas for short, assembled a panel of experts, niggas. So that's in my Chris Rock voice, niggas, which include Jerome Jamal Jenkins Jr., JJ Squared, became the first documented time traveler in 1943 with his mother, Earlene, actually slapped him into next week. Pow! See, you've been slapped. Stop playing. Jasmine James, a former McDonald's employee who became an instructor at the Dora Milaje School of I Wish a Motherfucker Would. Adrian Banfield Norris, the Red Table Talk co-host, is either an immortal goddess or an ageless vampire. Either way, we need her advice.
Okay. Peace and blessings, Sister Ania. Appreciate
400 years old. That's Jada's mama, you know what I'm saying? Because she looked like she's about 17.
In the kiss of life.
Dr. Greg Carr, the law professor, history scholar, and chair of Howard University's Afro-American Studies Department. He just smart as fuck.
Okay, basically.
Raven, the science maven. We commissioned the scientific spitter and self-proclaimed big old geek to freestyle a scientific explanation. Marshall Lynch, we have long suspected that beast mode is an actual superpower. However, he claimed he only joined our panel so he wouldn't get fined.
Okay, I actually am convinced that Marshawn Lynch is a superhero. You don't get beast mode for nothing. Well, he's been beast mode for Blackness for a minute now. So
he gets his honorary
he just be like
first class card.
Somehow he done broke the fourth wall of just this what this Matrix is talking about. He's like, I'm gonna do what I want and get your money.
Okay, Neo, go and do your thing.
Shout out to Marshawn Lynch.
The first thing you must be aware of is that you won't be able to choose which superhuman gift you will obtain.
No,
okay, just so you know. The powers will be determined by your previous work for resistance and liberation. And I'm going to tell you here. See, this is why I told y'all. Y'all got to know what's good. What's your natural essence?
So it gets funky.
Yeah. So, for instance, Aisha Evans may become a telepath with the ability to read minds, while Candace Owens may only become a bowel path.
I don't even heard that.
Finally getting the capacity to know when she's full of shit. I'm just saying.
She's full of it, dirty.
That's karma for you. So don't think you're getting away from it. No. You'll get your just due. This is a truly meritocratic space, and you don't get to cheat this one. Mm-hmm. Okay? Civil rights hero Claudette Colvin may gain the ability to teleport through time and space, while Lil Maga Wayne could earn his status as a real G with the ability to move in silence like lasagna.
He needs to start that superpower now. He can do that.
He need all that lasagna slide. He need all that lasagna slithering.
There's silence there.
Secondly, all Black people receive these superpowers regardless of religion, class, or political affiliation. Things that don't really matter to the African. It's all the part of the matrix. Like, those are non-existent things.
Right, classism, all that stuff isn't needed.
Right, okay. So which necessarily presents some problems. Although our Caucasian counterparts will still retain the ultimate gift of white privilege. They will undoubtedly gain access to our unprecedented abilities through subterfuge and brainwashing. Ben Carson has already agreed to lend his super senses to Donald Trump, meaning Trump might actually become a very stable genius.
I gotta tell you, that's pretty huge. That's a huge thing.
I'm just saying.
Just say
He's got
it's huge.
He's got it. It's huge.
That African power is pretty spot on. I tell you, that Ben Carson, he's a good guy. You see him over there? He's a good guy.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Give me all his melanated powers, sir.
Although the Negro solstice will not affect transracial icon Rachel Dojo.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
The Kardashians will undoubtedly find a way. Succubus, excuse me, to succubus the superpowers from naive but extra gifted Black men. You know they do that thing. So
they've been at that.
They've been doing that thing so well. So you know how it goes. You will get your natural essence.
Oh, super.
We must protect Zion Wilson from Kendall Jenner at all costs. Listen up. Stay on focus. Fortify African. Once your talents are downloaded, we ask that you practice extreme caution. If you think white people are terrified of regular Black people, jogging, sleeping in their beds, or armed with Skittles and Arizona iced tea, imagine how terrified they will be with bulletproof niggas. Thankfully, we know the police won't treat us any different. They already treat us like we're all bulletproof niggas. This leads me to my third point. No revenge. No revenge.
Somebody at the root, Rob. I don't know.
I know it will be tempting
one of the rare articles
to go smite all the white people who have caused us some harm. But trust me, it will not work. It's easy to use your X-ray vision to go searching for the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Or get one of your super strength homeboys to slap the shit out of Daniel Cameron. But what will it solve?
See, that's our demeanor that we always
solve,
have.
African. Sure, it might make you feel good. Okay. Maybe understatement a little. It made me feel really damn good. But unless there's a defund the police superpower, it really won't make a difference. Instead of pointing your laser vision at the kangaroo pouch under Mitch McConnell's chin, you should ask your telepathic cousin to read white people's minds and figure out why they continue to vote against their own interests.
That's a good point. Okay.
I know the answer will be racism. The answer is always
racism.
But at least we'd have proof when they try to present that bullshit economic anxiety narrative.
And smile in your face.
It might be fun to use the electromagnetic gifts to shock the shit out of Donald Trump every time he says something racist, stupid, or patently untrue. But come on, man. You're going to wear yourself out. There's not enough electricity to light up an Eastern European nation. And finally, we should be prepared for the outage when white people find out that Black people have superpowers. First of all, you should be aware of the phenomenon of economic gentrification when white people move into Black neighborhoods because we have a homegirl who can harness lightning. I'm just saying. I already know what you're thinking. Yes, her Black superhero name will be The Plug.
Okay. Okay.
They'll never give her credit for solving global warming, though, because you know that's how white folks roll. White people will surely be mad. For the first time, Black privilege and reverse racism will actually really exist, which means we have to enact a set of new millennium white codes. Of course, we will probably need officers to enforce these new Karen Crow rules.
Karen Crow.
Given the fact that our powers are relatively new, combined with white people's historic craftiness, who could blame a heat vision enabled super cop for accidentally torching an unarmed white person? Oh, it's tragic. It's tragic. In mortal fear for their lives, too. To make sure our criminal justice system works, we will only hire cops who are empaths and can look at white and tell if they're guilty. Accordingly, there wouldn't be a need for that fair trial bullshit. We should also decrease funding to historically white colleges and majority white school districts, or maybe we can send their kids to their own schools.
Look at that.
Okay. Why should we have to spend resources teaching them their history just because they can't afford time travel and can see for themselves? If they would just focus harder and concentrate on family, they might get superpowers one day too. Oh, you know that bootstrap theory thing that they be. You got it. You got the reference. It's not up to us to even the playing field. It's not our job because everyone has a right and they can bootstrap blah blah blah. blah.
Heat vision cop translate to Homelander from The Boys. It definitely does.
Playing the field. It's almost done. We're almost done. We got 2 more paragraphs. Speaking of playing the fields, they bet not kneel during the playing of back that ass up before every football game. Voter ID won't work for us because many of us will become shapeshifters. However, just to be safe, we should purge the regular human beings' names off the voter rolls and make them wait in long, long lines while we telekinetically vote.
I love that. Let's tell.
I know that there's no evidence of widespread white voter fraud, but you can't be too careful. Of course, we will save a lot of money by paying them lower wages. Why should employers shoulder the financial burden just because whites can't take lunch breaks by shifting the space-time continuum? You know what? Why do we have to pay them at all when we are the ones with all the powers? It's not racist to round them up and use them for free labor. It's about the economy. This may sound like I have either traveled to the future or have lost my mind, but either way, I'm neither a crazy person nor am I a soothsayer. If the idea of Black people having some kind of genetic disposition that gives them the ability to control everyone else's sound the least bit preposterous, think of how insane the idea of white supremacy sounded for 400 years. Merry Negro Power Day, you guys, from the root.
Get your Negro powers on. Get your Negro powers on, okay?
Okay.
Rise them up.
Now, listen, this also is a play to the whole concept of some insane, astronomical, weird thing is going to happen to save African people. You're going to save African people.
Period.
Okay? You're going to save African people. If you master self, you already have a natural gift. You already have a natural superpower. You just haven't tapped into it yet because you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Period.
And you're actually tapping into other people's powers that's not working for you.
Powers. God, I wouldn't even call it powers. Destructive powers or destruction.
Villains have powers
frequency.
too.
Yeah, exactly. Villains do have powers. You're right about that. Yes. And those villainous powers are working against you and your collective community. You already have superpowers. You just are not using them. And what you are doing, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
period.
You're using them for not good.
So we're going to do the, we'll show them the video.
Cool.
Listen, we're going to show you one of our superpowers. We got like mad superpowers.
So we convinced that one of our superpowers is creativity. So some cool and butter in our lives.
And healing and frequency and driving energy and infusing and pouring in and creating, cultivating. We both have very cultivating spirits. Gently massage, right? Is that the right way to put it? And people, and experiences grow in our presence and around us because of what we create and cultivate in the world space.
Absolutely.
So over the weekend, this has been a very busy week for us. Let's not get twisted.
Mm-hmm.
So along with the toy drive and all the other things that we're doing with the city council, the volunteer work Cassia was doing to that, we created a sound piece called Speaking into the Soul.
Yes, we teamed up with brother, good brother Bruce Purse. Shouts out to our good brother Bruce Purse.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to collaborate and make something a powerful soundtrack to this energy shift.
So
we work together to produce and create this piece right here. So we just want to give you a clip of it.
1 minute clip.
A 1 minute clip, and then of course we'll leave a link in the comments where you can view the rest and so support with your energy exchange or whatever. What have
and please share the link, family.
Please share the link, absolutely. Please share the broadcast and finding value in the conversation. But we want to give you a quick clip of this piece. Be with it, vibe with it, and also look at your screen and just receive. Right, this is a time of receiving. So we invite you to receive the energy around this particular clip. So
give thanks, family.
So be with your family, watch.
Share the link so someone else can also receive really quick. We're going to give you a 10-second countdown for you to share this link with someone on your timeline. Share it on your timeline.
Okay, 10 seconds. Okay.
And we're going to, right now, this 10 seconds, this is the window.
10.
Because this particular piece is definitely a strong affirmation piece of receiving the energy of cultivation, of abundance, of intention. And this is what we want to put into the world space in this very moment, in this window right here, at this winter solstice, at this moment of conjunction. We want to maximize the impact of this moment. So therefore, the gift of giving in love, give it to someone else. That's how we do. We are our brother's keeper. Ubuntu. We are a unit.
Absolutely.
So check out the clip. The breath of life. We are galactic beings traveling together in time. We are galactic beings traveling together in time. Giving up those nonsensical words that define and reduce our measure. We are divine treasure. Soul, I see you. Sawubona, I see into you. Sawubona, I see you. Sawubona, I see into you. Sawubona, I see you. Mark the miles and time gone by. The ripple in space.
Ashe, family.
Wow.
So yes. So we hope you receive that energy. Please tune in with the link as well. Visit the YouTube and vibing into it more. Put it on repeat. Let it be a meditation that
sit in your ear.
Soul.
Definitely sit in your ear.
Sit it in your ears to get the full spectrum of the sounds, of the vibes, of the energy. Appreciate you, Brother Joseph. Thank you for sharing. And just let us be with you, family. And as I said, if you find any value in it and you want to provide any energy yields around that, we appreciate that as well. But really, we want this to settle in your spirit and be something that can be meditative and something that could maybe ideally guide your day each day, right? Like you listen to it and just kind of set the tone for every intention that you have going forward. So I'm dropping the link in the chat for you to check it out. And support. It'll be available on streaming services soon as well.
It's also on Bandcamp right now.
It's on Bandcamp. All the links are on the YouTube, so you'll be able to see it as well. So it's Speaking to the Soul. Sawubona is the name of the song. Of course, the words of Neferah and produced by myself and the good brother Bruce Purse to just put the energy in the space, right? Ashe.
Yeah, so the concept of this piece came to be, it really was pretty random, but it was at the request of Brother Bruce, Baba Bruce. To work on this particular piece and to build out a piece of music that he had given us called Outer Space. Out in Space?
Out in Space, yes.
Out in Space.
Peace with you, Brother Joseph. Thank you. We appreciate that love and that energy around that.
So we definitely we came into the piece as a collaboration that Hussein, he worked on it, stretched it out, built it out. And built out the sound, because as he's been doing this whole he's mastered this thing so quickly with the practice and the application and the hearing and the tuning up as a musician and composer. And then I just wrote the piece along with it to go with the frequency that was in the music. because there are healing frequencies, 432, 517. There are certain 796. There are certain frequencies that do things like cleanse, that shifts your energy. And every other culture, and it's unfortunate because some of the things that we do in this culture, this Western cultural context and consciousness, are contrary to the old way. There was nothing wrong with them, but because white center consciousness didn't comprehend it or didn't want you to have access to it, they wanted to control how you moved. So they removed certain things from your access by removing them from your habit, from your behavior. Something similar to that, I'm going to say, we're going to tell the story I call the ripple in just a second. But this particular function of dealing with our children and the way we interact with our children, we cultivate, and we have some behaviors within our home that are genetic and they shouldn't be in our home or their application. But there were still some things that we did that kept our children safe and they kept them functional. They removed your ability to chastise your children. They removed your ability to parent your children because they wanted to create another residual space down the line, which was the pipeline from school to prison. So this is all a mechanism how this matrix works. And this is why we call it, brother, the beast mode, because it's not really beast mode, but it is beast mode because critical thinking is not a part of our habitual consciousness on a daily basis. Right.
He's moving in intention in what he does. You know, to talk about just using it as an example because you brought it up, but talking about like, I'm going to use my salary. I'm not going to spend any of my money, you know, of my millions of dollars that I get for knocking folks out to get to one side of a stadium to another, not to simplify the sport for those that really enjoy it, but really like, you know, that kind of brutality, be in a space of brutality regularly for the sake of entertainment, and utilizes money to actually you know, save it, give back, maybe help build some structures, build a community, you know, you'll give back to the Black community in some way. I mean, put turkeys and you know, in the schools for Thanksgiving, or like in the families' homes for Thanksgiving or whatever, like all these different things. Having that intention around, I'm going to use my talents that I've cultivated in purpose, right? You want to talk about purpose? That's a brother that's moving in his purpose and also in his Kuumba, by being creative in the way that he's giving back to the earth's landscape and leaving it better than he found it. If he died tomorrow, God forbid, but if he died tomorrow, then he would have a great legacy to have left behind, right? You know, and what I love, what's beautiful to me is that if you just look at him in representation, I don't personally watch football. I see him in his interviews and things like that, what have you. His representation is that of what we would usually probably, you know, apply to like the, you know, the hood dude or whatever, or like the quote unquote what the Matrix calls a thug or what have you, that bias, that stereotype. But what it is that there's a masculine power to him, and there's a power to protect and actually love upon his people that's so commendable and so empowering and so just worth the energy and time that he puts into it. I would grow appreciative of the brother. Like I said, I don't watch the sport. I don't really care for football like that, for various reasons. But what I do care for is character, no matter what, right? No matter what the activity is of a person. Like for instance, i.e. like I'm not too crazy about J. Cole all the time, but I appreciate who he is as a human being in the world, right? So like I love that character to be in the space with humanity, be in the space, especially with your community, to give back and be an empowering symbol for people to look to and to essentially create permission for greatness within the community. So I appreciate, you know, shouts out to the brother Marshawn Lynch. Shouts out to, you know, again, brother J. Cole and all those that do the work.
Yeah, they're trying to break out. They're trying to break out of the matrix.
Without too much of sacrificing integrity within the art as well. Yeah. But like, they do the work, you know what I mean?
They're definitely trying to break out of the matrix. I mean, I am functional when we talk about these matrix things. There's a maintenance conversation, and then there is a forward forecast. And I think that, you know, we're trying to keep it really light today. We're trying to, you know, we're trying to go into a different direction. I'm gonna go ahead and do the tribute, which is, you know, what we do here is we function our African essential energy. But there is definitely a means to be with integrity in the matrix. It's not many. I can tell you right now, there's not many. There's so many that
it's dwindling.
They negotiate. They compromise
for what they call or think is peace and rewards.
I, for one, am thoroughly and powerfully intention in creating abundance and integrity, because that's actually how the universe is set up. Everything is in divine order. So there has to be, okay, with commitment, regardless to all the not working and the no's and the this and the that's.
Mm-hmm.
That's irrelevant. It really doesn't matter because those things are expectations because they are the symptoms of the matrix kicking back to an inoculation that's shutting all of those things down. Close. No access. No access. So when that happens, the matrix is going to kick back. And the matrix and what access that it has within our people is also going to kick back, and it constantly does. So this is something that if you're a master and you're mastering self and you're elevating in this way, this is something that you definitely have to connect with. You're going to have to be clear that the matrix, you are inoculating these illnesses in the matrix and these symptoms, and there's going to be kickback. The way those things manifest is different.
I want to share brother. Shout out to our brother Joseph shared a powerful quote here. He said, "A weakness, and it's something I speak about all the time. Is power of vulnerability. A weakness is nothing more than a strength which has been perverted. So flipping that weakness on its ugly head leads to the discovery of even more superpowers. So yes, I say there's when we understand the power, especially as men, especially for instance as men." In the idea of masculinity, idea of manhood, idea of brotherhood, what does vulnerability look like in certain spaces where it's used as a tool to cripple? What happens when you use that when you kick that crutch away and use that to be empowered and to stand up strong and to actually build brotherhood and build masculine energy and build manhood and build strength within the communities by being one who's in integrity with themselves and authentic with their feelings, authentic with their emotions, how certain things make them feel. How does this system make you feel, and what does that mean? What's next after that? What are you going to do about it? And that's something I would love for us to get more in space of when we look at the way the system operates and the complaints it creates and the discomfort it creates. With discomfort should come want to change. With discomfort, within the chaos, within the entropy should be an opportunity for something beautiful to come out of it. And that beauty is that will to change and transform the situation into something greater so that future generations get to thrive. So so let that be, that's a superpower in itself. And I say that a lot, that vulnerability is a superpower, for instance, right?
But then what comes with the vulnerability? Why are men why do they turn from the vulnerability piece? What's the purpose?
Well, and turn away from it.
Why do they not embrace vulnerability? Right,
but that's exactly the point what brother Joseph was referring to, is that how the societies flip this idea of what vulnerability means, or being or the weakness in vulnerability, right? It means you're soft, right? But what I'm saying is that it's the idea of being soft, or the idea of if you show emotion and you're a weak-minded man, or you don't have enough power, you're powerless, you're helpless. If you can't be this stoic monolithic figure that's unmovable, that's your manhood, that's your strength, to be the stone pillar that doesn't get affected by anything. But in turn, actually what it does is it actually destroys you at your core, because now with you building up this hard exterior, or this hard or distorted idea of what manhood is or what vulnerability is, now you have no way of connecting with your people. You're not connecting with your significant other. You have children, you're not connecting with your children in a way that's impacting them to support their growth and their maturation.
That's right.
You're not connecting with your community in a way to where you're empathic and connecting to whatever pains they may be going through. Ujima, right? The collective work and responsibility of being our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper, and understanding the strife that they go through is directly related to the strife that you go through in Ubuntu.
It is. I am because we are.
Exactly. I am because we are, and then the human connection is key. And there is no connection without that emotional piece to it, because we are, as a people, operate in relation to each other. And within relationship is this idea of emotional connection, of spiritual connection, mental, all these pieces come together to create that power. So when you're actually lacking in that emotional maturity, that emotional connection, emotional fortitude, you're actually weakening yourself even more. So how?
Right.
So
it does affect. It's a residual.
Well, let's not be begotten to thinking that that hasn't come from a space, even down to the enslavement of our people, and the buck breaking, and the castration and the emasculation of the black male figure in the family, and not only in the face of the black woman, but in the face of the family as well, where they're not deemed as a leader or the leader of the family, or a protector, or a guide or support system and operating in that particular space.
But there's a reason for that, though, because that behavior, because you don't have access to that connection, you also won't have access to strengthening your families in ways that matter. So because there's an absence of that thing, they need the matrix needed for you to function as a faculty. It needed you to function as a thing that does a thing. It didn't need you to deviate from that experience. So as long as you function in that perspective, and then it was us who manipulated, because you know something, once something gets social, once it gets into the social space, we will then mutate it. And this is what we do with everything. This is why we ended up with our pants on our butts. When the moment we get something, we mutate it to make it cool. Then it became our dysfunction where we begun to punk other brothers. Oh, he's soft. You know, the sisters, oh, he lame.
Man up.
Yo, he lame. I don't like him. You know, and then the brothers were saying stuff like, girls like gangsters. They, you know, because you're in a community and you're around other African people. And then we get upset when Africans leave the community and go into other communities to find spouses.
Right.
But you said they was lame.
And then we end up.
I'm just saying.
And then we end up losing the community as a community.
We lose the best fruits.
Absolutely.
In our community,
because now they're
assets.
But what I'm saying is that we lose on both sides. And now we lose those best fruits, the ones that actually had the trajectory to make a difference. Now they're making difference in other spaces, but also in that effort, they're also being hollowed out because they're not getting that residual energy that actually comes from their people. They're getting the energy of other people that don't operate and think in the same way, in the same frequency. So if you're not in your space operating with people that's in the same frequency, you're still hollowing out, and there's still going to be something missing. Meanwhile, we're still on the other end, we're still dealing with this the self-worth conversation, the vacant esteem, the self-loathing that takes place that doesn't have us believing we have any choices or any trajectory beyond the environment that we're in. So it's been a diabolical game for us against us for a very long time. That's by design within the structure that we played into. Right, where the structure has done enough damage to where we cannot perpetuate the damage for the rest of the decades and the generational trauma to come.
But then we've taken ownership of it. But then think about that. Think about what happened with our collective behavior and vibrations. We created it in our own space, and now we can't even shake it loose. And now it's so close to us that we can't even identify that it's there. We don't even see it because we've been thoroughly manipulated into this habitual way of being to the point where we've now normalized dysfunction. That we can't even identify dysfunction when it's in our face, when we are the catalyst that's carrying the dysfunction. And the whole hollowed out conversation is about frequency. See, people are people, right? Right. We don't want to have a whole conversation. Human beings are human beings. And it's either nature or nurture. We can either behave in a way to our natural nature, or we can behave in a way to we can unlearn bad behaviors and learn good behaviors, because we've been in a trajectory of misbehavior for so long that it has become our natural default. So we're going to have to unlearn and learn new things. I suggest to every African, get rid of everything and start from scratch.
Yeah, sure.
That's my thorough.
Give it all you know.
The best thing that I could do is to get rid of every single thing down to your alphabets.
Absolutely.
Everything. Down to your first words and sounds, your first smells. Get rid of everything and start from scratch. It's the best way, the most accelerated way. Because trying to navigate, and I tried that for 10 years, it really didn't work.
That's true.
It doesn't work. Because you're gonna do more work, you're gonna overwork yourself in a way that's counterproductive to your own benefit. And my intention, start from scratch. Build it up from the bottom up.
Absolutely. Brother, I want to get into what brother Joseph was saying. Also, a little quick thing around what I was thinking about with this is Brother Joseph says, I only want to go higher if my people are there with me. Otherwise, I don't want their crumbs. They're never going to give any of us what we're worth. So it's up to us to redefine our collective worth and go together. Ashe. Brother Joseph, absolutely. Brother Joseph also says, poisoning the collective consciousness with the toxic way of moving through the world has unfortunately created a bunch of walking, ticking time bombs within our community. It definitely has. Definitely has.
And we eat each other. We eat each other out. Like it's dog eat dog every turn you make. I can give you 1,001 complaints, but I don't consider it a complaint. When I'm telling you these things and when I'm posting them online, I told you got them, they've already been worked over. They already were worked over because I have intention about the energy that I put into the space. It's important. I know people, they interpret what I'm saying. Oh, they want to give me poo-poos and they want to, oh, girl, come on, do you think? I don't even want to go into the long conversations to where it came from and how we got there because that's their level of understanding. So I let them rock out with that. I know it's in good intention, so I just receive it. But I'm telling you, once I put it out there, it's already done. Because I don't want to put anything that's going to cause any more nastiness in the space because we got enough of that. We got enough people putting in and lifting up foolishness and unhealthiness and ill behavior, ill mannered, and just entertaining. And we got this whole ratchet, classy, culture, savage culture now, where the PhD think that it's okay for her to be in the street twerking and dropping her butt, although twerking is an African dance.
Right.
In our American context, it's not that. It's not the same.
They're not twerking 24/7. They're not twerking every time they step in front of a camera. So that's
and they don't live in their body parts.
Right.
Like in African cultural context, they don't live in their body parts. The fact that we live as women and men in our body parts, everything is about stimulation, impulse. This is the flesh feeling, carnality. It's entirely habitual dysfunction, and we don't even recognize that it is unnatural because people are people. A woman is not a woman because she got a big butt. A woman is a woman because she was born a freaking woman.
Right.
She was born a woman. She has her body has a faculty, a function. It can do certain things, but that's not all it can do. It can do many things.
Right.
Right. But we've gotten into the context of the perversion of white-centered consciousness. And American system, white-centered consciousness, Western consciousness, Eurocentric consciousness has made the African body a fetish.
Yeah.
And we now relate to each other the same way.
Look at Sarah Bartman.
We relate to each other the same way. We relate to our bodies the same way.
Mm-hmm.
We relate to each other the same way.
Right. Like that means that's a mating call, right? Like this is the only way we can attract or bring each other in space. It's unfortunate. Even if it's just like, just to have somebody around. It's not even for a thing now. It's become this like this switch that just won't go off. It's just like, let me twerk here, let me twerk there. Like
it's like a humping cat all the time.
Hypersexualized. Like every video, if you scroll Instagram, it's a fucking twerk fest. You know what I mean?
And grandma said, you just giving the world away everything. You're not even letting you just letting the world see all your goodies. You don't even save nothing for the date. You don't say leave nothing to the mystery. Nobody's even saying that anymore. Not even the women of stature. Listen, leave something for the mystery. Right. But you know what the women of stature are doing? They're saying let them do it because it's gonna get the young people in the door. Why? Why compromise in this way? You know it's detrimental to the long term. I'm gonna tell you the truth, African. I can say I love you. I'm gonna tell you the truth. It doesn't work.
We've grown actually very susceptible to short term game planning. We're not anywhere in the space of what long term looks like. A lot of us, there's some of us that are working, but the unfortunate part of that is that we're so spaced. It's so spaced out and so scattered that's what brings the challenge within the actual unification. And we say, well, yeah, but people are unifying, but in little pockets, not enough to actually bring the power that's necessary on a national and global landscape. But then we deal with this to where we need to we just need to bring the space back and then within the unification of it. You can say what you're going to say. I lost my straight of thought. So go ahead.
Oh man, my bad. Maybe I did.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. So the theory of coming together in this unification thing that is the piece that the Matrix is curtailing. So that's the actual piece that it would take for us to create what we need to create. Mm-hmm. So they keep putting all these confusion. Destabilization. Add a little something to the social mix. Add a little something more to the social mix. Throw this in the social mix. Throw this in the social mix. These people have done the science. We have not. We've basically been growing up, living our lives for ourselves, for our family, for our reputation, for our parents' reputation, trying to get our come up, getting our worthiness, getting our mattering conversation. This is what we've been doing. We have never been doing nation planning. For the great majority of us, we wake up, we born, we come into the world, and we function this way. And that's it. These other people, they're functioning from the sciences. So they just throw stuff into the little social mix and we just run with it. Right? We never think about the fact that our inability for self-discipline, because this is what was happening at home. Grandma used to say, because I'm not Christian, I was raised Southern Baptist. Charity begins at home. So being told to sit your butt down and be quiet and being heard and hearing all the time. If you anybody who come up in a Christian home, you hear there's a time for all things. Right now it's not playtime. Right time is be quiet time. Mm-hmm. Right time is homework time. Right time is time to close your mouth and don't speak time. If you raised in the kind of house I was raised in, so you learned to control your impulses. And in these lessons right here, those were the lessons. And then you got into white-centered consciousness, and white people raise their children differently than African people raise their children. Back in the 80s, we used to see this. Oh my God, I hope it's not somebody black. It must be somebody white. Right. Certain things you hear in the news, know it's not a black person. Right. Because we culturally grew up differently. Period. Not bad or worse, whatever. You can make the judgment if you want to, but at the end of the day, it's different. And the outcomes were different. We, grandma, family, cousins, community, checking kids, get your butt home. Your mama's looking for you. You get a whooping before you get to the house 2 or 3 times. These are cultural things that kept us into the trajectory of self-discipline and impulse control. We now have 0 impulse control, and everything we function is about our feelings and how we feel. And guess who was functioning this way? People who were having a white cultural experience. This was predominantly their function. This is why a U.S. president can brick up a wall in his bedroom and put a 12-year-old in there for sex. This is why. Because it's about how I feel. It's about what I need and what I can have access to.
Right. The instant gratification.
Instant gratification. It's not about self-discipline. Right. It's not about morality and ethics. You bricked up a wall to put a 12-year-old in a room? Really? Took her away from her parents? Is this right? I'm just saying. But this is the stuff that America sweeps under the rug because white center conscious don't want to deal with certain things, so it just eliminates them from the narrative.
Right.
Right? Because I didn't learn any of that until I got grown. I'm just saying. But we need to understand as Africans that we've picked up on these behaviors and we've internalized them, and we now do not know how to identify them. So 2021, this is a time to intention the breaking up and the creation of what's next for us. Right. In terms of our true intention of what we really want to create for the African. Because asking for jobs is not a creation for the African. That's a maintenance conversation. That's a doing. That's not an ultimate goal. That's short-sighted and it's low-hanging fruit is what grandma would say. It's low-hanging fruit. If you're trying to start a business so you can big yourself up, it's low-hanging fruit. If money, all of these people, because like I was talking about before, we can all just, anybody who's talking about business and getting this popping and getting this popping, getting that popping for business, everybody's selling, they got all kind of videos and this and everybody's jumping because money for African people represents protection. It represents opportunity. It makes us think that we could garner some self-respect if we had more money. Because we can make people respect us. Let me tell you what, you can get over that because look what they did to Bill Cosby, and he was the most respected African. He made white folks a lot of money for decades with them pudding pops. He was doing his thing from Cat Burglar, his movie. He's been doing this thing for a long time since he was in his 20s. And they put that man in his sunset years in prison, half blind. Total disregard. If that's not inhumane, if that's not a crime against humanity, but you let Trump run around here grabbing pussies, and it's okay,
and glorify
grab him by the pussy, but not 51%
make
of
fun
white
of disabled people.
53% white women voted for Trump this rotation. So apparently, grabbing him by the pussy, right? And Brock
wasn't
Turner,
a deal breaker.
Brock Turner, it's not a deal breaker. Brock Turner, young man, 22 years old, puts a bottle in a woman, inebriated, totally intoxicated, incapacitated, goes to prison. His parents is, the higher you go, the wider you get. The wealth gap is $250,000, $300,000. His parents got a nice coin. They don't want him to go to jail. So the judge gives him 6 months. Okay, he don't got to go to jail, 6 months community service. Oh, when his parents find out that he has to register as a sex offender, now they want to get the whole case thrown out. Never mind the woman that you stuck a bottle in. Never mind her. She don't matter. I'm just saying. You, African, need to understand what you've subscribed to, what you've given position to the point where we don't see value in each other, but we keep saying African lives matter. We are the contradiction.
We have to stop the sloganization of our blackness that we ourselves subscribe to. We can't be black when it's convenient because you're black 24/7. Like it doesn't work to be black when it's convenient, and even if you're black as whether a dark skinned person, or you can't hide your quote unquote blackness or what have you. Being black, being black as a convenience, meaning stepping into your full identity in all spaces, meaning no code switching when you get to the office with your white counterparts, whatever. If you're gonna be like yo, what's good on the block or what, I'm not saying be yo in work per se, but like if you're gonna be that. Then be who you are.
If you're gonna
be in
folksy,
your essence,
be folksy.
Be folksy. Be in your essence. Be in who you are. I go to work. I've gone to work in nonprofits and corporations wearing my dashikis, and being who I am. Yeah, there's no turning on the white voice to get people on the call. Like it's none of that. Be who you are in your essence, 100% 360 degrees. That's what you're talking about, stepping into your blackness, not for a holiday, not for voting time. Let's not bring up ancestors around when it's time to vote, right? Because again, as I say, like that's a bullshit card because the ancestors are fighting to survive and they're fighting to be free. Voting was just a piece of a mechanism as part of the system that made you believe some type of some semblance of freedom. But they wanted to be free. They want to be free from having white supremacy on the necks and on their backs. That's what they wanted. They could have operated in peace in Tulsa and in other spaces, doing what they needed to do economically and powerfully for the community. We would have done that. We would be in a good space. But by and large, historically, we have not been able to do that and find peace in that. So voting was the thing that makes us feel like democracy is happening. Then kudos, fine. Let's fight this. Let's try to get them voting rights in. But that's not the totality, and that's not the only time you should bring up the ancestors because they fought for a whole lot more than to put a ballot in a system that's already rigged as it is and designed to have you fail and only have win who they want to win, right? Quote unquote win, right? Because you're not winning.
There's no win.
There's no win
That's
for the African in this
of
system.
Inclusion.
And if you haven't gotten that by now, then there's still a lot of work to be done. There's work to be done, period. But there's still a lot of work to be done if you haven't grasped that at this current juncture in time. Whether it's racism or racism light, aka overt racism or covert racism, aka a Trump or a Biden, and every other president before him, other than a Trump who's blatant, like it's all the same system. Right, hoods are still hoods, no matter if it was Reagan or Nixon or Bush Sr. or Clinton or Bush Jr. or Obama or a Trump or a Biden. Something has to actually structurally change for the equity and justice of African people in this system in order for that actually to be real change and have it be worth a damn. So until that happens, you have work to do. We have work to do and to step into identity to claim that. So
good thanks, family. You want to talk about that ripple?
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to talk about the ripple? So I made a post to my daughter.
Okay, let them deal with the bass in your voice, brother Joseph. Absolutely, let them deal with.
Oh my gosh, y'all! These folks ain't ready for that.
Look, hold on now. All right, Chad, you doing too much.
Ready for that?
We'll get the printer fixed when we get it fixed.
I don't know.
But no.
I don't know. I mean,
my apologies. Good.
I just need. I'm gonna jump back on that real quick. I just need our people to stop being afraid
to be,
because I have said it is my consistent narrative. It is a quality of life issue here. Because African people having to contortion themselves every single day of their lives and think about everything that they want to do in relationship to whether or not white people are going to like it is an impediment to your quality of life.
No.
Okay? It's an impediment. And the fact that you allow this to be your reality demonstrates that there is a severe psychosis that should be a diagnosis in the DSM. But it would never go into the DSM simply because if we say that white people have done something that causes African people a daily quality of life impediment, then white-centered consciousness says who's going to pay damages because something happened to you. And white people know when something happens to them or something inconveniences them or hurts them, there's something called punitive damages. Who's paying for my pain and suffering? Because this wouldn't have happened to me in my normal walk of life if you hadn't done this, and that third to me. So because we're going to put this in a DSM, African people now have a leverage to come for a check from white-centered consciousness, separate and apart from reparations.
Ignore your ass.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, like I said, white-centered consciousness, white cultural experience doesn't like something, they just sweep it under the rug and delete it from the narrative. So this is why it is a quality of life impediment that you have to wake up and contemplate for a second. It happens so naturally in this moment. It is such an inbred Pavlovian a response, behavioral response that half of the time you won't even see it. So this is the reason why we say share the show, so that we can have this conversation with our people, because a lot of our people are not having the conversation. And it's not, and some of the people who are having the conversation do not put it to the family in a way that is applicable and actionable in a very simplified way of doing it. This is why people get so much benefit from being with us and being in our space, because it becomes actionable. And not only is it actionable, you actually get a demonstration of what it looks like in application. Because we don't talk the talk, we walk the walk.
That's
right? And we use ourselves as an example because there are no big eyes and little U's around here. I don't treat nobody like that. I'm not a fan. This is my life. I'm not a fan of the revolution. Unfortunately, this is our life. Right, family? So I don't do, the groupie and the spectator and rah-rah. I don't do any of that. We can come together and build together, and that's it. Right. I'm not looking for a leader. I'm my own leader.
It's work to do. I can
think for myself. I'm going to save me, and I'm going to try to take some folks with me if I can. Mm-hmm. So, African, we need to empower ourselves this way so that we don't have to continue to support ourselves and sit up, grandma said, eat up under somebody's table. We don't have to eat up under nobody's table and every day in our living experience. It's an impediment to your living condition to have to think about what your boss going to say. That might be too much. If you got a freaking bass in your voice, you need to be out. And that's the thing. White center conscious, I don't even go to workplaces and see Black folks with this type of presentation. Mm-hmm. I used to back in the day. You might find an educator, someone like James Earl Jones, right? But most of the African men that we see in these places and spaces, they do not have
that energy,
a high tenor voice, a masculine type. They don't. White center conscious has a way of moving things that inconveniences them out of their way. It makes them slightly uncomfortable, so they don't want it in their space. If they can't put it in a box, they just remove it from the space. This is why I say to you, participation in the matrix for the African is a limited maintenance conversation. There is no save for this system. I'm not going to tell you that again. No, I'm going to keep telling you that. I'm not going to tell you anything else. I don't care what your plan is. There is no maintenance conversation. Excuse me. There is no fix for this matrix. There's only a maintenance conversation, what is in the best interest of the African for this matrix. And that might take hopefully, an ideal, we can move this thing in 25 years because it takes 15 to 25 years to shift the behavioral context. If you look at the crack era, the social heroin era, it takes about 15 to 25 years to shift behavior. And on a grand scale, this is why you need everyone being a leader. You don't need people being led. You need people to take on their own power and become leaders. I don't babysit. Take the work, put it in your life, put it on, and start doing it. Period. Because we need soldiers and warriors on the ground being the difference that is different. I don't need you to babysit. I need you to get strong legs and get to work. We're going to talk about the ripple. I don't know how many people out here know. Give thanks, family. Share the link. Absolutely. We appreciate you coming in, chatting it up with us. Absolutely. This is definitely a great conversation to build out and have this conversation in as many places and spaces as possible.
Oh, sure.
If you're catching this on the replay, drop your comments. We do come back through the week. We do check in on the comments, and we do respond. So the ripple, I made a post about my daughter LaMasia. She was born on December 20th, which was yesterday, December 20th, 1996. And she was killed by shaken baby syndrome, throwing the baby up. People throw the baby up, and she died of shaken baby syndrome on June 2nd, 5 months and some change after she was born. Just a couple of weeks shy of turning 6 months. And the reason being was because, yes, I came up in foster care. I was in boarding school during foster care. When I aged out of the system, my Black social worker gave me a $500 check and told me to go in the system, the shelter system, because she didn't want to take the time to do the work and put me someplace that would have been beneficial to me and helpful. So she said, just go to the shelter system. Ended up in the shelter system with my baby, my daughter. And I was going one day to the daycare center that was in the shelter system. I worked down the street as a cashier. I was also in the first beginning of the Academics for Hunter College nursing program. So I was about 7 weeks into the program when this occurred. And I worked part-time as a cashier at a grocery store around the corner. So I would leave my daughter at this daycare center within this shelter for her to be babysat. So I was also married back then to one of the guys who was actually in my boarding school with me. Was in a similar boarding school to mine, not far down the road from me. We'd come and meet up together. And he was busy doing whatever he wanted to do, but he had his downtime. So I would just take the baby down the hall, take it to the daycare. West Indian woman comes to the window. There's a clipboard on the door. There's 15 slots. They can take 15 children. There was 3 slots left. She told me we were full. I said, well, there's 3 slots left. This is the system. There's 3 slots left. She said, no, we're full. So I take my daughter back upstairs in the house. I didn't really have time to have an exchange with this woman. I don't know this woman. She has an accent. I don't know where she was from. She had a very heavy accent. I would assume that it was something, I can't guess, but it was definitely a Caribbean, West Indian person. took it back upstairs. So my husband is now watching over this child back then. And he's playing with this baby. And I tell him, stop throwing that baby up all the time. He was just, oh, she love it. She laughing. It wasn't with malice. I come back a couple hours later, and the first thing I hear the door is I hear this screeching sound. It's reeking. I hear it through the house. The apartment is a straight shoot house. So I walk from the front door straight to the back door to the right. There's a bedroom. This child is in the bed. The covers is shaking like this. She's having a seizure. As soon as I took the cover off, pick her up, and her body is rigid like a board, I freaking buckled and lost it. I'm screaming. Here come the neighbors. Everybody come running. I don't know what happened from getting in the house to getting to the hospital. The next thing I remember is getting to the hospital. I don't remember the process in between there, what happened in that space. Mm-hmm. I don't remember getting the ambulance. I don't remember getting to the hospital. I just remember waking up in a bed next to her, looking up and finding her in all of this, in a box with all of these tubes and stuff in her. So they tell me that this child, 5 days later, she's brain dead. She's not coming back. Bangladeshi, Pakistani, I'm not sure. Sikh, I'm not sure. At that time, right? Now I know he was a Sikh doctor. Comes to me and says to me, this child is not coming back. She needs to be a brain donor. If you're going to let her be I'm 19. I don't have no family standing with me. There's nobody. It's just me. 2 days after being in the hospital, they took the husband, took him to jail to question him because he admits to shaking the baby. Whenever there's child abuse, they examine the parents. So they take him. He's gone. Last time I see him, the next time I see him is a year and some change later at court as he's being arraigned. I mean, since he's getting his sentencing. But anyway, this process, I said, okay, let her be an organ donor. And that was the end of that. They took off life support, disappeared. The next thing I know, I was at crime victims, signing the sheet to have a funeral. Now I'm planning for a funeral for this child. So the ripple in here, there's a few ripples in here. And this is part of the reason why I administer care the way that I do in my community. Now, for a while, I was pissed about some of these things. For the first 2 years, I was just in a haze, just working in a haze. But time went by, and about a decade later, I came to the realization that the ripples here was first the social worker, a Black social worker. So this is why I have the conversation with people today. When you're a service provider, you're servicing people who are in a situation. And if you're an African person, you live in this matrix, you will likely you'll be living a situation. People make things happen and people don't make things happen. Mm-hmm. If you have had the benefit of not being in foster care, of not receiving food stamps, of not going into the shelter system, of not going to inner city school, not having interaction with the police, if you've had the benefit of this, that means you had alternative. You've had community. You've had access to family. You've had access to maybe money. You've had situational things that did not put you in line with some of these things. But listen, the wealth gap is 5,000 to 200,000 in some places in America. If you've had these experiences, it's because of the social economic circumstance. And a lot of African people have had these experiences. You look at me today, I don't look like my circumstance. Most people can't tell. I have to tell the story. Look at me like I'm crazy. Got 15 heads. But I'm saying to you, the ripple here is you find yourself blessed if you didn't get into these spaces. But there was a ripple with this social worker who did not do her job. I already tell you, people don't want to do their job. They likely don't want to be at work, and they definitely don't want to do their job. Ironically, they have a lot of social workers that do firsthand, and you go higher, you get the whiter you get. On the ground level front-facing services are done by other African people. So we're in service to each other, where we're in space and place where we can actually have a ripple, where we can infuse people. I have students on my Facebook page. I have some classmates from back in the day. I have colleagues from across my life. I have elementary school people from my life. Whatever circumstance that I was having through the development of my time, I've always had essential energy line. There's a very baseline essential energy that I've always had. I remember it from very young. I never really deviated from that. Never a malicious person, never a rowdy person, right. Never a mischievous person, never a hurtful person. It was never my intention to be out here mistreating, like doing all kind of shiesty stuff. It was never my intention. That was never a part of my life being. Right? And this is a natural essence. But running into circumstances, I'm running into people who could have made a very big impact, which is why I make it a point to reach out and thank anyone that I can, or at a time when I can, let them know that they impacted my life in such a way because they didn't have to. There were more people who didn't than the few that did. That social worker could have made an impact in that moment. She didn't. That person at that daycare center that day, because she was being whatever she was being in her personal bias, which we know is a social condition right now, a personal bias of individuals from other cultural experience having interactions with African folks, they just disregard African people, African Black people. It's just what it is. I experience it to this day. People want to decide how they want to respect you without having respect for you. African, everyone is due respect. The divine already gave them the breath of life. They're due respect. Honor is something else. You got to earn honor, but respect is due a dog. That's it. So the Matrix told you, you got to get my respect. No, that's a lie. Everybody starts on a baseline of humanity. The divine gave them breath. You respect people on a baseline of humanity. It is white center consciousness that makes you believe that you have to earn what is already due you. That means that somebody has control of that earning. No one has control of that earning. That earning is from the divine. It's your human right. But see, there's a dial that somebody is turning that you've now mistaken for living. Right? So she could have made an impact. The social worker could have made an impact. She didn't. Whatever her bias, whatever her circumstances was, right? Now I get to this hospital and I have all these doctors around me. Any one of those doctors or nurses could have made an impact. They didn't. Because you know something, the ironic thing about that is 17 years later, I was with a colleague and I was telling her this story. And I met her daughter who was on life support for 3 weeks. And she was graduating from high school that year. She was 17. So, you know, I went through a whole nother experience of confronting the ghost of my daughter because she may have lived if I had let her stay on life support. So then I had to contend with the fact that maybe I contributed to her death because she could have lived. It's possible. I don't need to trust these doctors. I've learned not to stay in a constant space of suspicious awareness when it comes to this matrix. So there's opportunities in our lives to be the ripple. People make things happen and people don't make things happen. Nobody gets anywhere without support of people. People are the ones who move the energy. There's no hocus pocus. Right. There's no hocus pocus. There's only energy. Energy can be felt. Right. Energy can be exchanged. Energy can move. But there is no hocus pocus in the place. Right. If something was created, people did it. And if something is not being created, people are not creating it. Right. People create injustice. People create inequity. There are people who go to work every single day and push these these letters on these papers, and they do what they're doing in their functions, and they continue to sustain inequity. Right. People are doing this. They're choosing to go to work and whatever their jobs are and sustain inequity. They're choosing to be wherever they are and sustain poverty. They're choosing. Money is non-existent. Money is the god of somebody else. For African, money only represents a function because there's always been goods exchanging, whether there was money or not. See, I have a plan. I have a consciousness that doesn't require a fight. It doesn't require a weapon. All you have to do is opt out and do it the way you do it. There's always a means to exchange goods if you respect and honor one another and value each other's worthiness. There's no need for money. If you can have integrity with your word, if you can be impeccable with your word. So this is why I'm big on that. I'm going to hold you to your highest. There's a lot of folks on a daily basis that fall short of their word constantly. They use deception. They use manipulation. They use ambiguity. I don't do ambiguity. Come at me straight, period. If you don't, I can back you up. I know how to back you up. I am going to back you up. Okay? But we should not be using ambiguity in our community. We should be respecting each other in a way that allows us to be transparent because we are on the same side. We are up against you in the front of the oven. I'm in the back of the oven. We in the heat. So family, that's the ripple. What you going to do about it? You are a ripple. You have the capacity to be the difference that's different every single day that you walk out the door. You have the capacity. Oh, I don't do nothing for nobody because folks don't appreciate. That's something that I said. I'm not going to stop doing and I'm not going to stop giving because it's a part of my natural essence. If I let people quell me into being different from who I am, then I'm giving them power.
Right.
No, but I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing, but I'm calling you out. You're out of integrity. You're not holding your contract. You're not keeping your contract. How are we going to get farther? How are we going to move African if you don't keep your contract?
And imagine where those same people would be had someone else chosen to be a no in the same way they're choosing to be a no for their circumstances. Mm-hmm. Right? They wouldn't get there if someone felt that day like, I don't feel like it. Yeah. Someone, like, so it regardless of how people operate, because remember, our people are operating at a deficit based on the condition that they've succumbed to. Right. And so it's a lot of people succumb to the conditioning. Right. And there's a lot of people that haven't. And those will namely be the people that'll be like, I'm fighting to do this stuff. But trust and believe that you're not the only one that's in that space. So the moment you choose to be a no is you're creating a barrier to any other possibilities that do exist, not only for yourself, but for the actual community to thrive and for things to be different. So it's not it's not up to others how you live in your power. Right, your power is relinquished the moment you let other people choose for you how you show up in the rest of the world. Because despite the pain, despite the things, despite the risk, you do it anyway, right? Because everything you want is on the other side of fear, is a quote, right? Everything you want is the other side of fear. And what is it to be courageous but to face fear and then do whatever you need to do anyway? In spite of it. In spite of the fear being there. Fear is not about being fearless. It's about, there's fear, but what are you going to do about it? How are you going to get past it? And the triumph beyond it is to create new possibilities. And we need to do that for our people, because a lot of us are accepting and choosing no, even in spaces where as a defense mechanism, even if it was possible, but meaning also like for instance, like in the work example, is accepting just what's been given to them as this is the protocol and that's it, and the survival mechanism is being in that as a safety net, and then now you're a no for other people because you can't or chosen not to compute beyond what information you've been given, versus taking the next steps to be the difference around making a new possibility in someone else's life. And giving is a gift that keeps on giving. So when you actually become the possibility for other people, you create possibility for yourself. And the moment we get to learn that and practice more and more and master that part of our lives, then that's when we get to in turn create more of the ujima that's necessary to create the umoja that we need, right? Stepping into all those principles, all the principles tie into each other for a reason. That's right. Family is how we build the nation. So
the gift that keeps on giving, you give. That person then is capable of giving. See, because once you move a person, you can give a man a fish he can eat today, but you can teach a man a fish he can eat for a lifetime. Exactly. Once you teach that man to eat for a lifetime, it's going to impact his family. Now his family is no longer in a situation where they are at a deficit. That means that his family can multiply the ripple by being ripples in other people's lives. That's a positive ripple. He can then be a ripple in someone else's life. See, that's the gift that keeps on giving. And we're creating a space where we're now opening up possibility for one another. The matrix only has functions. The goal here is to maintain maintenance and create a greater opportunity to create a larger impact. The larger impact creates sovereignty for the African. There is no fix for this matrix. I hope that there's not an ancestor. I hope that I'm not an ancestor 200 years from now and someone is sitting there having the same conversation. Listen, because there were ancestors 200 years ago saying this same thing. Go home. Go home. Yeah. Because there's no fix for this matrix. It's too broken. It's irreparable. Okay? So the only thing you can do now is go outside of the matrix and go outside of your consciousness in a daily application. You have to change the way you're functioning in the matrix. You go to work every day, but your matrix, your maintenance conversation should be building for 3 generations forward. Baba Mulemu Baruti said, anything you do today should be a step to support 3 generations forward. We don't need to take 3 generations. We can take 3 generations on a slow roll for some people who ain't really ready to motivate it, but it don't need to take 3 generations for us to create the trajectory.
If people choose in, it doesn't have to take 3 generations.
And I wanted to try to give you guys if they choose in, if we choose in, critical mass chooses in, and the fact that we don't choose in is a part of our psychosis.
You can either choose into confusion or choose into power.
Oh, we choose into confusion, but we don't label it as confusion. Because it's showing up as living, it's life. Yeah. Everybody can think what they want to think. Yeah, people can just do what they want to do. Listen, if you don't feel like it, you ain't got to deal with it. Listen, this is how I am. You just got to deal with it. You hear all these lies that we tell ourselves. You hear all this stuff that the Matrix tell us to do, and this is what we living by every day.
And in culture,
I can think what I want to think. Now I'm getting me. I'm doing me.
And culture
I'm getting mine.
Mediocre thinking. I remember like being in the gym one day and hearing these songs, these top 40 songs, these hit songs, and it literally was like, I like that you're broken and broken like me, and like all these things that we like. Oh, we're happy to just be like, we're happy to just be alive, or happy to just be well enough, rather than actually being the greatest that we are, operating at 35%. How does that work, family?
You giving them 35%? Please, 10%. We out here operating at 10%.
This is true.
As a collective, we want a slow leak out here in these streets. Now we have the capacity for our innate genius to be so much more, but in this moment right now, we have an opportunity to activate our possibility of what can be possible for us as a collective.
That's right.
So that is the hope. That is the hope that you become the ripple in this 2021. It is the hope that you begin to make actionable. The trajectory of moving forward. You know, you got to think of something, the mechanism that Chinese created. And look at your house, case study right now. In your house, for the next week until we come back on the show next Monday, I'm going to come back to this. How many things in your house is made in China? How many things in your house is made in China? International exports to leverage this entire country as they big themselves up over the next 50 years. How many things in your house is made in China? America gave access to China products. America took jobs from Americans and outsourced them to save money. America, the people at the top, that's not for the people, that just put themselves in circumstances to be able to get their own greatest benefit, jacked up the rest of the country so they could save a few dollars. You took away jobs to sustain families, and you created an undercaste system that is almost solidified, and it cannot go anywhere because the environment is not going to be able to absorb these people. There is no fix for this matrix. There is no space where the amount of people that are marginalized can be absorbed into the system. There is no way to do it. There's no way to do it. No. Unless you're just small, you're insignificant peasant in the matrix, and if you're happy with that, so be it. I'm talking about. I don't care if you're making $160,000 a year. You might be making $160,000 a year for yourself, where you could just buy more stuff than somebody else, but you really have no power. And if you have no power, if you're not sovereign, what are you? You just got a nice ticket that they gave you. ... Enter digital money. And you get to buy more stuff and be better than the Africans with less stuff.
Then you take it away, and then
you literally have no power. So African, there's no maintenance for that's something to think about coming into 2021. Absolutely. What is your intention? What are you planning on doing moving forward? Yeah. How are you planning on moving into this future? Who are you planning on being in the future?
I'll share.
Give thanks.
Absolutely, family. So.
And check out that project. Speaking into the soul. Yes. Share it with somebody. We were going to go through a little Kwanzaa gift ideas. Give somebody. That was our Kwanzaa gift to you guys.
Yeah.
And Kwanzaa gift is based on not spending money in the matrix. It's based on giving of yourself a gift that you either make, bake, or intention. Don't spend any money. You're not supposed to spend any money. You're supposed to take the intention to Saubona, the person you want to give a gift to. You're supposed to be with that person intimately and give them something that's specifically from your heart to theirs. Try that.
Absolutely.
Kwanzaa.
Absolutely.
2020. We glad to see you go.
Yeah. Peace out.
Peace out.
Yeah, bish. So join us next week, family, for Soundbytes International Radio. Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which will be Ujima. Next Monday will be Ujima. So we'll continue to bring perspective around the collective work and responsibility we get to do here with this show and being with you, family. And again, touch further on more gifts and more ways we can be with our people, be with our family, and build on more strategies, right? Strategies for our elevation, strategies for our growth, strategies for our strength and upliftment. So again, it's Soundbytes International Radio, Black Consciousness the Claim.
One world is the aim.
Absolutely. And remember, of course, on the channels that exist where we share these thoughts. Remember, if you're watching now, please make sure you are liked and following. If that's right, our Facebook at Soundbytes INTL Radio. Please make sure you hit that like and follow button on the Soundbytes INTL Radio so you can stay in tune with all of our broadcasts on Facebook. You can also stay in tune with our broadcasts on our Twitter at Soundbytes INTL via Periscope. We do go live on our Twitter as well. We're live right now on Twitter. You can also subscribe to our YouTube at Soundbytes International Radio. Please hit that subscribe button. Please go hit that subscribe button. Share with your friends and hit the subscribe button as well. Hit the likes on the videos and all that. That brings us up in the algorithm more. That lets YouTube know that you like us and you enjoy and value what we do. So please do so. Hit the subscribe on the YouTubers. Also, remember you can follow our podcast. I didn't mention this earlier. But remember to follow our podcast, Soundbytes International Radio. Soundbytes, not Soundbots. Soundbytes International Radio.
BYTS.
On Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On our website as well. You see scrolling across the ticker. At thisissoundbytes.com. You can click those two icons to follow us our podcast, which is audio versions of these broadcasts over the past 4 years now. So please tune into that. And also, make sure you hit the review. Give us some 5 stars. Give us some written reviews. Appreciate that, and it helps us support and grow in that streaming space. Most certainly.
The things that don't cost you to support. Independent radio out here.
Absolutely. It costs you nothing, but you also can contribute as well on the site with the contribute button or on our Cash App at $Soundbytes Radio if you like to give an exchange in return for the value that you may find in the broadcast each week. Also remember to follow us on Instagram at Soundbytes International Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Soundbytes International Radio where we get actual soundbites of these conversations daily and via posts, videos, and so much more. So that is available there. And of course, as always, we love to close out an intention. Oh, again, follow to make sure to get that Speaking to the Soul, our news project available now. You can go to our YouTube. The link is in the chat for those in the chat. And it's available now on YouTube for you to stream and listen and take in the energy and receive it as a meditation daily. So we do appreciate those that took that in. And received. So and of course oh yes. So we close out. Anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, we're good.
We're good. So
we love you.
And we love you, family. As I said, we love to share with you each week. Thank you for those that shared in the chat, Brother Joseph, Sister Ra Lotus. We appreciate y'all for joining us and checking in.
Brother.
Absolutely. We appreciate the energy and love to you both. So again, in the spirit of Kuji Chagalia, in the spirit of our everyday and in identifying and standing who we are, you know how we got to close out with the energy.
Close out powerful out here.
Absolutely. So we close out, of course, with our favorite track, I Am from the Brother Naeem Bricks and myself and Brother Joseph Gogs, aka AJ Throwback in the check-in. So Steve, keep a lock with us, family. Stay right here. Jam with us for a bit to get in that energy. Another great meditation, another high energy meditation. So we hope you enjoy. Sit tight to the Soundbytes International Radio, your family.
I walk the face of the earth with a boldness which makes people ask who sent you. I tell them I am. They tell me that's a cute affirmation, but it's not an answer. I reply, listen again. My affirmation is your answer. This is the power of I am. This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny that. Hear the proof in the high hat. Turn the reflection, I digress.
Appreciate you, King Joseph. Thank you. Thank you for all you do as well, brother. See you. Pause. Bow Snack Radio Show. Keep it going, family.
This is the power of I am. This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny the power of I am. Handsome chocolate more bro.
Yes.
Time I won't go, bro. Lyrical high home, bro. Living spot with a cold soul, bro. This is without morale, so bro. So I pissed it fast, pitch it slow. Till the cows call home, bro. It didn't make sense. I was told as a child I wouldn't be shit. Revenge on my mind, start flipping the script. They fed me lies, started picking that shit. They treated me different, I embraced that shit. You know the ones that be closest to you to be the family ties, say goodbye, saying plenty murder, dirty service for the cuz, stuck up with a dirty burn up, but better believe in me 1,000%. Better I achieve what I was saying again, I couldn't resist. Courteous niggas with their toxicness, without a pocket piss, so monotonous. Told myself I couldn't rock with
Peace,
this.
Sister Misa. Appreciate you. Make sure to check out the playback. Share your thoughts and come back around to it as well. We appreciate you.
Regulate, singing that same. So, hey, sis. I am. I am. As a wise cleanser, purify the nonsense they try to test to my context. I am a thriver. Ooh, hit it.
This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny that. Yeah, the proof in the high hat. Internal reflection, I digress.
You love me more, never love less.
I love me more, never love less.
$1 million dreams, yeah, I manifest it. You be the blessing. I manifest it. Anything I want, yeah, turn up. This is the power of I am. Get some.
Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny the
Power of I am. Hey, my time. I get up and go to keep my hopes from dying.
So on the road with a goal that you're fine. Yeah, I know what I mean, vision. Reflected from every angle through a clean prison. Doesn't matter if I didn't check the color of gray. When I lost my mother, poppies aside, my queen, and I laid it on my brother's barge was shaping up the grand scheme. I don't wrestle to the mat on my damn teams. In a matter of time,
Became a champion.
now my everyday marshal
Get to the damn thing.
so my hands are packing over and inspire the future leaders with every line of the levers of God and non-believers. When they can't conceive us, then when we don't leave us, brick, they never see us. Woo! God damn, I'm feeling good, motherfucker. What they say, I'm doing what they never want.
Hey!
Get a grasp on your life, yeah. They made it sacrificial price, sir. Go to the dump, playing nice, yeah. They go to the line, who the nicest.
From the north to the southeast.
Kicking others every lane, shit up my seats. I'm aligned with it, man. You cannot be.
Everything you want, yeah, turn up. Come on, y'all be out there rocking out.
Already
This
know
is
it.
hard. This is hard.
You done know.
Get some. I have. I am.
Use my ancestors.
Woo! I have all that I need to affect change. And I am a living magnification of
This is the power of I am. This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny that. Yeah, the proof in the high hat. Internal reflection, I dive.
Shouts out to our girl Carol Shane with us tonight. But we're thinking about you, boo. $1 million dreams, yeah, I manifest it. You be the blessing. I manifest it. Anything I want, yeah, turn up. This is the power of I am.
This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny the
Power of I am.
Let me deny the power I am, family. Stand in your coochie chocolate. Stand in your
into it.
identification. Understand and name and define who you are daily, family. Soundbytes International Radio. One love. Join us next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. One love. Have a blessed one. Be safe, family. Stay up.
My
Happy
heart
holidays.
to yours. Happy
Get your powers, y'all. Go get them superpowers.